Hiya, I'm going to show you this makeup look from scratch today, and this is all about concealer and the different ways that you can use it. So I'm going to go through the advantages of using a colour that's a really true to skin match, and then the advantages of using something a little bit brighter to add a bit of luminosity where you want to. So I hope you enjoy. As always, everything I've used is listed in the description of the video, so if you click to make it full screen, the title will come up along the top, click the arrow next to it and a full list of products will drop down. But that said, please feel free to use these tips with whatever you've already got in your makeup bag. Okay, I'm just applying some serum. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my skin is really prepped and hydrated, because I'm going to go in with quite a full coverage concealer formula. Now, one of the things I would say, if you're using anything with quite a bit of coverage, having that moisturiser or serum or primer, whatever it is that you're using that first will mean that not only will the product glide on that bit more easily, but it just prevents it from sitting into any areas that might feel a bit dry, and then in turn preventing it from looking too full. Okay, I've already got my skincare on this morning, but one of the things I'm going to do is take a dedicated serum around the eye area. Now, I don't always use concealer around my eyes. A lot of the time I can kind of get away with it. Obviously, I have more of a problem area kind of on the cheeks. But because I'm using a really full coverage concealer, what I'd say is if you prep your skin or your eyes or wherever it is that you're going in with full coverage, whether you want to use a serum, moisturiser, primer, whatever works for you, it just means that that product will glide on a little bit more easily. It won't cling to any dry patches, and that in turn will mean that it won't look too full or heavy. Now, I'm going in with the Vichy 89 dedicated eye serum. I put up a video with the serum of this last week, and actually lots of people had said to me that they really love the eye serum just as much as the original skin serum. Now, I'm just going to take this anywhere that I know I'm going to go quite full with the concealer, which is definitely these inner corners, and I'm just going to make sure I'm well prepped so that everything glides over the top nicely. Now, what I wanted to show you today is the impact of when you're choosing your concealer shade, which option to go for. I feel like a lot of people like to go a bit lighter with their concealer, but I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I want to show you both ways. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my normal concealer just over the redness, and I'm going to do this with a concealer that is a complete kind of true to skin match for me. No surprises, I'm going in with the Bye Bye Under Eye concealer, and this is in the shade medium. Now, if your main concern with your concealer is to cover a blemish or, you know, correct something like I'm going to correct the redness today, I would say for you, a true to skin match is the best option. I've picked a load of brushes. All the brushes that I would usually go for are staring at me in a pile over there to be washed. So it's not that I don't like the brushes I'm using today. It's just that, like, for example, this is quite a small brush, and I probably would have used a larger one had I washed my brushes. But anyway, what I might do actually is I'm going to use a small brush to get this concealer onto the skin, and then buff it out with a larger fluffy brush. Now, for this kind of purpose, a true to skin match is great because we want to detract from the redness. We don't want to draw attention to it. So ultimately the goal here is to make the complexion just look like it hasn't got any discoloration. Now, as you can see, I buffed that on using the Bobbi Brown full coverage touch-up brush, and I've buffed it out using Amy Connolly's The Buffer. That was a well-named little solution. But as you can see, this completely true to skin match almost just, brushes this redness under the carpet. Now, this is also going to be great for things like blemishes, textured skin, scarring, all of those. However, if you want brightness, if you want radiance, if you're looking at your eyes and they're feeling a bit tired, and that's where you're mainly going to use your concealer, then you might prefer to go a little bit lighter. And that touch of lightness might just be the thing to kind of add a bit of luminosity, add a bit of brightness, detract from any of the dullness. So you've kind of got two options. What I would say is have a think about which solution you're going to use the most often so that you get the most out of your product. If you're someone like me that likes to use your concealer a little bit of everywhere, then go for that true to skin match. If you're someone that has something else that you like to use on your complexion that you're really happy with, and you just want your concealer to do a bit of damage control around the eyes, then you might prefer to go for something a bit lighter. Now, I've buffed my medium everywhere that I kind of want it. And the next thing I'm going to do is go in with a shade down. Well, it's in the, this is the enormous QVC version for the month of June, but in the original Bye Bye Under Eye full collection of shades, there are lots of different shades. This is the light 10.5, which on QVC would be the next one down. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the same brush, I'm going to really melt this down. You can see on the back of my hand, we've got quite a step change. And I'm going to start to take this kind of around the eye area, not applying too much pressure, and just gently buff this in. Now, already you can see that this is significantly fairer than what I have on my complexion. And it's just really added a bit of, you know, brightness to that eye area. I'm going to really buff this in on both sides. And I would always say around the eye area, try to do the job with as little product as possible, because you want something that isn't going to gather. I think a lot of the time, if you notice things sitting in fine lines and things like that, it can just be that there's a lot of product in that place, whereas a tiny bit won't sit in any lines, but it will still do the job. And there we go, nice and bright. But if I had put that, for example, on that spot there, I would have just drawn attention to all that texture, and that's the last thing I want to do. Okay, next up, I'm going to go in with some of the Trinny London bronzer. This is Jensta. I have to say, I have never had so many requests for one brand than people saying, please can you do a full face of Trinny? I just feel like lots of people have asked me recently about the brand, what do I think of them? I really love the Trinny products, to be honest. I prefer the complexion products out of everything that she does, because I just think the creamy textures are really, really flattering. This Jensta bronzer, this is a cream kind of formula. It comes in a number of shades, and I think that if you're especially fair, the fairest shade will match you really well without looking too orange or too over the top. But in general, I just really, really like her things. I don't think I've ever done like a full face as such, but you'll find loads of Trinny things sprinkled through my older videos. But definitely, I would really recommend them. I think they're a really, really lovely range of products. Now I'm just taking this bronzer kind of on the outer sections of my face and adding a bit of luminosity there. And I'm going to powder in a moment, but first of all, I just want to get all of my creams on, and then I'll powder them all together at the end. And then I always use Wiggs blusher from Trinny, so instead I'm going to go in with Electra today. I've got a lot of QVC shows this week, and for QVC, I go on with everything apart from my complexion. So basically, I'll probably do quite a few complexion videos this week, because I can just take it off and on really quickly in between any little shows. So we might be in for a bit of a complexion marathon this week. But yeah, back to these creams. I really like that you can see there I've just used my hands. They go on really well. They go on really well with a brush. What I would say, I haven't got one to hand. The Bobbi Brown Full Coverage Face Brush, if you like your Trinny creams, that is the perfect size to get into there and pick everything up. So do bear that in mind if you like your Trinny things. I'm going to go in with powder next and finish with my illuminator. Now, as always, I'm going to start by taking, this is some of the Bye Bye Pores powder from It Cosmetics, just through the centre of the face. I want to really keep the luminosity of these creams, but also add a little bit of cover where I need it. I can see a little fleck there from my mascara. And also what I should have done a moment ago and I haven't done yet, I'm going to seal that concealer into place around the eyes. And what I'd say with your concealer, or your powder, sorry, anywhere that you notice that your makeup starts to run away through the day or disappear, or you're prone to getting a bit more hot, that's the places to put your powder. You can kind of leave the edges of your face to be nice and radiant, but really seal in this centre. You'll always stay on the right side of glowy and you won't spill out into a bit hot and bothered. Now, this is new and it's a really, really lovely highlighter stick, perfect size. I've never really seen one this small. This is the Beauty Pie Pro Glow Perfect highlighting stick. Now, what I really like about this, because it's so small, if you're someone that wants to add luminosity but you don't want to look really shiny or get too much of it all over your face, or if you've got slightly more narrow features, this is so nice and precise and it'll get into all of those areas. Beauty Pie is another brand that people ask me about a lot. I don't have a subscription, but I've tried lots of things of theirs over the years. Just for the sake of, if you haven't heard of Beauty Pie or used it, essentially it's a service where you pay a subscription fee and then you have access to really high-end makeup products, but you pay cost price for them. So as you know, with any makeup company or any business of any nature, they will pay one price for it and we will buy it at a different price. Whereas Beauty Pie gives you the option of using really lovely high-end products and not having to cost the earth for them. And you pay your subscription fee and then you get access to them at that price. It's a really unique business model, I'd say. And anything I've used has been really lovely quality. And I'd also say, just keep an eye. People always have codes for them. So I'm sure Sally Hughes has got a code. I'm sure Caroline Barnes has got one. There'll be loads of people that you probably already follow. But if you use their code, you'll get a great kind of startup offer or that kind of thing. So if you've been interested in Beauty Pie, definitely have a little look at either of those. How nice and simple is that? And it just adds a bit of luminosity and life. And now I'm going to put some lips on so that doesn't continue to look a bit sweaty. I'm going to go in with the Laura Mercier liner in Crimson. And then coming back to that brush, just with whatever's left on it, I'm going to tidy up the edges of that liner. And then I'm going to take Sam Chapman's MAC Red. And there you go, really short and sweet today. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you want to see a video on, and I'll chat to you soon. Take care.